up quitting his job, I'll come home from work. The house is clean, and I have lingerie sitting out on the bed. So I'm like, okay, now I know something
he doesn't have a
wrong.
job.
Something is wrong.
I don't let my husband buy me lingerie for a gift because I figure that's for him.
If we go out somewhere and he would see somebody that is light-skinned, and he's looking at me, oh, you see something you like? You see something you like? And
Mr. Brown, is that true?
No, I'm somewhat like that, but let her tell you she in love with LL Cool J. She ain't told you that, huh?
LL Cool J's on TV, just like Halle Berry. Don't you like looking at Halle Berry?
She's all right.
And Halle Berry walking now. He talking about she all right. My question is, you got a nice-looking brother over there who clearly cares about you. Maybe he can't clean the house very well. This should not be cause for divorce. If so, I would be alone.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today in the case of Ricshawn Brown versus Christopher Brown. Mr. and Mrs. Brown, you've been married for 4 years. You have 2 children, one 4 and one 2. Mr. Brown, you say that no matter what you do, your wife is not satisfied. And Mrs. Brown says you would be satisfied if you act like a man and get a job.
That's right.
Today, Mr. Brown, you are asking for $1,100 for the down payment on a 2000 Blazer that the 2 of you bought while you were married. Okay? Mrs. Brown, I'm going to start with you.
I'm here today because after 4 years of marriage, my husband, I have found out that he is a liar. He's very insecure. He's very jealous. And he's controlling at the same time. Your Honor, my husband is so lazy that when I come home from work, he would be at home with the kids in the house. 5 minutes before it's time for me to get through the door, I noticed that he had just started picking up, cleaning, scooting stuff a little here and there, and the house is barely getting picked up. And I confront him about it, and his first thing is, well, the kids are the ones who messed the house up. I cleaned it up. You ain't cleaned up nothing. This house still looks the same to me.
Did he work as well outside the home, or was he a stay-at-home dad?
No, he kept quitting his job.
He kept quitting his job?
He kept quitting his jobs.
Tell me about that.
Well, Your Honor, I guess the job must get too tough for him. It's either too hot outside, too cold outside, but he can't handle it. Then, when he ends up quitting his job or he loses his job, I'll come home from work. The house is clean. Dinner is cooked. And I have lingerie sitting out on the bed. And he's like, oh, everything's good. I have roses. And I'm like, okay, now I know something
he doesn't have a
wrong.
job.
Something is wrong. Because any other time, I'm not getting anything. As long as things is bad, oh, he bring me roses. I get whatever I want. But when things is going good, I don't just get these things.
I don't let my husband buy me lingerie for a gift because I figure that's for him. You know what I mean? Okay, Mrs. Brown, I'm going to allow your husband to defend himself for a moment. I just want to make sure, just to recap what your wife gave me so we have it. She calls you a liar, insecure, jealous, controlling, lazy, and can't keep a job. Did I get it all?
That's right.
Now, Mr. Brown, why is your wife so dissatisfied?
You know what, Judge? Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Now, do you get out the flowers and the lingerie and clean up the house when you lose a job?
Yeah, I have, but I mean, you can't tell this woman you quit or you got fired. She doesn't understand. You got to try some kind of butter on the topping. You know what I mean? You can't just
just lay it out there.
You can't just come raw dog and be like, yeah, I quit.
Yeah, you got to kind of butter up, smooth it out.
Some kind of move to it. You can't just be like, I quit.
Mrs.
She doesn't understand that.
Can you tell me 1 or 2 more things you were dissatisfied about?
He's been talking on the chat lines.
Chat lines.
The hookup lines, the date lines.
Now, how did you find out about the chat lines and the hookup lines?
Well, one day I come home from work, and I was upset. I come in the house is in a mess, and I noticed all these different numbers on here from out of town. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't know nobody in this city right here. 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, he's not talking to me.
He's not talking to me. Okay, Mrs. Brown, you tell me that he's insecure about light-skinned men. I don't think I quite understood that.
Oh, Your Honor.
Come on.
If we go out somewhere and I could be reading a book and he would see somebody that is light-skinned and he's looking at me, oh, you see something you like? You see something you like? And now I'm looking like, okay, wait, what are you talking about? Now I'm noticing, okay, now I see what you're talking about. It doesn't matter where we go.
Mr. Brown, is that true?
Let me tell you, she's telling you a complete wrong story.
Well, tell me the right story.
You know, I'm somewhat like that, you know, but let her tell you she in love with LL Cool J. She ain't told you that, huh?
LL Cool J's on TV, just like Halle Berry. Don't you like looking at Halle Berry?
She's all right.
Tell Halle Berry walking now. He talking about she all right.
She can come home from after a long day's work, and I can have her lingerie set up with the Victoria's Secret and, you know, the roses and everything, and it's just not good enough for her. She still comes home and complains about how I didn't mop, or I didn't give my kids a bath and whatnot. She's not telling you the whole thing. She's jealous just as I am. I can't even be around a woman.
Well, what is she jealous about? What does she do when she's jealous?
She's just insecure, period. I'll be around another woman, and I'm automatically cheating with her just because I'm standing next to her and she's talking to me. Oh, you got to sneak
when
it
you go
around.
out to the club?
I don't even go to no club. She's a party girl.
Tell the truth.
She's a party girl.
Mrs. Brown, does he go out to the clubs a lot?
Your Honor, well, we usually go together, but when he makes me mad, yes, I do get up to go relieve myself to get rid of some stress. I go out to the club with some of my friends. But one time, me and him end up going out. We went out to the club, and I'm thinking we're going to have a very good time. Well, he ends up running to one of his friends, and there was a girl with his friend.
Right.
And they're sitting there, and she introduced herself, and she said hi, and I said hi to her, and that was the end of the conversation. Well, I need to go to the restroom, and somehow he ended up, her boyfriend or whoever she was with, he ended up leaving too. So I come out of the bathroom, and I see him and the girl, they sitting there just chopping it up. They just talking. I'm like, wait, hold up a minute. And I just sit there, and I looked at him, and I looked at her, and I walked outside of the club. And now I'm angry. I'm sitting out there like, okay, as long as I'm sitting here, you guys have nothing to say to each other. The second I walk away, you guys got a whole conversation? And he acted like it was just nothing.
Well, what did you expect them to do? Sit there in silence next to each other and not speak?
No, it wouldn't have been that bad, Your Honor, if when I was sitting there and when the guy she was with was sitting there, everyone was talking. But as long as they were sitting there, I never knew I didn't even think they knew each other. She looked at him, and that was the end of the discussion. And he looked at her, and they said nothing to each other. But the second I walk off, now y'all got a conversation. Now y'all want to talk.
Mrs. Brown, anybody ever tell you got a lot of rules going on? Mr. Brown, I understand you have a problem sometimes with the clothes that your wife wears.
Oh, of course.
Is that true?
Of course.
Tell me about that.
You know, she likes to wear revealing low-cut shirts, you know, short skirts, you know what I mean? I'm going to tell you the truth. I really don't approve of it.
You don't approve? Was she wearing that when you met her?
Well, baby, well, you know, I met her when she was 15. You know, we was 15, you know what I mean?
So after she said, I do, you didn't want her to anymore.
Right, I mean, you know, it takes a whole different perspective
A whole different perspective.
Yeah.
Mrs. Brown, is he giving me the accurate story on that?
Your Honor, when we first met, yes, we were back in high school and everything, and he knew what I wore. At that time, I was wearing half tops, I was wearing low-cut shirts, and that's what got him. And he knows. And there's like, for instance, one day I ended up going out to the club, and I told him that night I was going out because we got into it, so I went out with my friends. I come home the next morning to go get me some clothes to wear. I look in the closet, ain't nothing in there but winter clothes. We in the summertime. He took all of my clothes. He took all of my lingerie. He took everything. And now I'm like, oh, no. Oh,
well, what did he do with them?
He put them in his trunk.
You put her
them
clothes in the trunk?
Yeah.
And you put her clothes in the trunk in the summertime so she could what, wear wool outside in August?
I mean, you know.
What did you expect to happen?
I was just trying to stop her from wearing the sexy stuff. See, we were arguing. She packed in my bag, and I took my bag, and I left. But after she left, I came back and got her stuff. See, she thought she was going to, you know, get mad and go to the club and go kick it. Well,
so you didn't want her. She could go to the club, but you didn't want her to look good while she was there.
I'm going to make it a little bit hard on you.
I gotcha. I
I
gotcha.
love my wife. but we had too many problems and too many bumps that came along our road of life. I like for us to work it out, but apparently she doesn't.
You started to tell me a little bit about this earlier, but the thing that just cut it for you was that chat line and the bill from the telephone company. Why don't you explain that to me?
Well, Your Honor, I'm looking through there, and I sit there and I notice all the numbers, and I question him about it, and now he's like, well, wait, ain't nothing you need to worry about. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing in there. I'll let my friend use my phone.
Did you call any of the numbers?
Oh, yes, I sure did.
Did you talk to anybody interested?
Oh, I sure did. One day, I ended up finally calling, and I spoke with this. I had left her a message. She didn't call me back. So I called back the next day, and she answered her phone. And I was like, who am I speaking with? And she ended up telling me her name and everything. I said, well, I was just calling you. I was like, I'm just wondering if you have talked to my husband. She's like, your husband? I was like, yeah, his name is Chris. She was like, Chris, oh, yeah. I remember talking to him a couple times on the phone. She was like, but I couldn't dial my number out, she said, because my number doesn't dial long distance, so I had him to text message me. I'm like, text message? And look on the phone bill, there was text messages on there. But let him tell it, he ain't talked to nobody, or he talked for just a few minutes. You wasn't talking 3 o'clock in the morning to this girl about the color of the sky. So what could it really be?
Were you fooling around on the chat line?
I was talking.
And to whom were you speaking?
I was speaking to a young lady on the chat line.
And what were you saying?
She was basically talking about her boyfriend and her life and her kids, and I was telling her, I'm going through little problems, and it was...
Is that what they do on the chat? I've never been on the chat line. I don't know.
Well,
is that what you do on the chat line?
Actually, it's actually there for people to hook up, but I wasn't trying to hook up.
That's right.
You just were trying to get a little counseling.
I was just talking.
You
I was just talking. But
Don't you have some friends you can talk for free? I mean, one of your boys go down the street, say, hey, what's happening? This is up.
Yeah. But, I apologized to her. I understand that it was wrong. I never said that it wasn't wrong.
Right.
I came to her like, man, I've apologized. I said, I'm sorry.
Right.
And she just can't accept it. There's no forgiveness.
If she were to forgive you, Mr. Brown, would you like to try to work this marriage out, or are you finished too?
I'm not finished.
You're not finished?
I love my wife to death.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
My wife has accused me, and basically she divorced me because if I called on the chat line. If she would have been there and talking to me and stopped treating me like dirt, which she was, I might have not been on the chat line.
Now, what I heard from you, the worst thing he did was talk on the chat line. Is he really that unsatisfactory on a day-to-day basis?
Some days it's good.
Some days. Every man, every husband is a pain in the bottom on some days. You don't get one free of problems because you're a problem. You know what I mean? I'm a problem. You're a problem. Something wrong with you, something wrong with me, something wrong with him. My question is, you got a nice-looking brother over there who clearly cares about you. Maybe he can't clean the house very well. This should not be cause for divorce. If so, I would be alone. If he were to do a few things differently, could you give it a shot? Now, before you say anything, got one more thing to say. You got 2 people that you made. They didn't volunteer for the job, but they're yours. I say this all the time. My daddy wasn't perfect. In fact, he was a bit of a trip on occasion, but there wasn't nothing like him being there. To have a household with 2 parents, both in on it. When I can't stand my kids, my husband can. You know what I mean? When I'm losing my mind, he steps up. And when he don't want to deal, I step up. A little bit unhappy for a little while, let's work on it. As opposed to snatching their daddy out of their house. You with me? Daddy ain't smacking you. Daddy ain't cheating? Daddy bringing you lingerie when he's got bad news? And he's cute, too.
Thank you.
What if I didn't do anything? Y'all can come back in 6 months. But you talk to somebody for me. Just for the kids. Give it, for the kids. Just do a little something. Can you do it? I will hold this matter in abeyance. In other words, I'm not going to do a thing. And I want you two to leave, act like you got some sense, and give it another shot. It is so ordered.
All rise.
You know who I was. You knew that I was wet. You knew that I was. You knew I was.